Hi again, everyone. Welcome to the Starting Five here on HMTV6. I'm Mark Keller, sports editor of the Hearld-Mail newspaper, joined by Tim Kelby, sports reporter for the Hearld-Mail. Tim, good to have you with us. We're going to take our last look back at the fall season here in Washington County, and we'll take a look at our all-county volleyball team, which was released in Saturday's Hearld-Mail newspaper. You can still take a look at all of those all-county teams online at herald-mail.com. And Tim, quite a volleyball season this year. 3 state champions from Washington County.
Got
Historic.
Three for the price of one.
Yeah.
And Dan Kaufman got to see them all on.
He certainly had his fill of volleyball in mid-November, that's for sure. But our player of the year, a tough pick, and went with a player from North Hagerstown.
Yeah, Peyton Wallach got it. Was the county leader in kills. It was second in the hitting efficiency. And, she was one of the key components because North lost 4 seniors from last year's team. And I guess probably at the beginning of the year, one of the teams you wouldn't have expected to go all the way would have been North. But Megan Crawford did a bang-up job. And, of course, obviously the players did too, and Peyton was a leader.
Yeah, absolutely. A kind of a tough choice. Stacey Christie at Williamsport making a case as well.
For
sure. But Wallach gets the award, and Rick Dugan, our photographer, took that great photo of the ball. Rick, if it was in our budget, we would pay for that ball to replace it. But you're on your own with that. But and coaches of the year, we sort of gave Dan a hard time about going with not picking one and going with tri coaches this year. But you can certainly make a case for all 3 of those.
Well, yeah, when they win state tournaments, of course, you have Megan Crawford at North. You have Emily Crabtree, who's a veteran coach, getting a state championship at Williamsport, and then Rachel Brashear at Smithsburg, 4 in a row in 1A.
Yeah, hard to believe, and it's hard to believe that we'll see another volleyball season like this in Washington County.
Well, it's like Dan said, all the scribes that were down at the state tournament, all of a sudden everything is shifting up to Washington County for high school volleyball.
Really is. It's a hotbed up here, and we'll see how things go next year. Yep. On to football, the last of our all-county teams, and that ran in Sunday's Hearld-Mail. And Tim, the offensive player of the year, certainly a no-brainer.
Well, we got guys that we're going to, a lot of the players on the teams, we're going to see again next year. Isaiah Smith, what an athlete he proved to be as a junior. It's too bad he had the back injury toward the end of the year. He would have tagged on to, 2,005 yards, an all-time record in Washington County.
Right, absolutely. And you mentioned that injury, and one of the things when I talked to Isaiah in doing that story on him, he said one of the regrets he had this season was not letting his coach know that he was hurt in that Williamsport game. If he had it all to do over again.
Well, you get kids that are not afraid to tell coaches, and then you get the kids, maybe it's a Wally Pipp type deal. If I tell the coach he's going to set me aside and I may never get back in there, who knows? But, he's a hard-nosed kid, and he's the type of kid that wants to be in on every play.
Right, absolutely, definitely does. And with that, we go to a kid who practically was in on every play for North Hagerstown.
Yeah.
Our defensive player of the year, Trey Anderson. He began the season doing just about everything for the Hubs.
Well, first of all, the most impressive thing about Trey to me was the fact he came back from a serious injury. In 2011, he had the knee injury, and he worked super hard to get back into condition, and not only to play, one side of the ball, but to do it on both sides. And to me, he was super impressive defensively. What do you have? 40-some solo tackles, 6.5 sacks. He was all over the place. And he obviously North was a pretty good defensive team this year. Kyle Hewlett, to name, some of the players. He was the leader.
Yeah, he really was.
Yeah.
And he was a vocal leader as well. And that was something that impressed me about him was the way that he really sort of led the way on the field.
And another nice thing, and it's not to say that all kids aren't, but Trey is such a nice young man. I really enjoyed talking to him when I've had the opportunity to do so. He's a bright future.
Yeah, definitely does. And it really was a tough pick with Gabe Frigen as well, the North safety. He's about as hard a hitter at the high school level, certainly in Washington County, that I've seen in a long time. He really brought it on defense.
Well, you know darn well that Coach Danny Cunningham teaches those kids, you better be hitting hard if you're going to play for North.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, and you mentioned Coach Cunningham. He's our coach of the year this year. Led the Hubs to a 9-2 record. Became the school's all-time winningest coach.
That's why he doesn't have any hair up there, huh?
That's probably it. That's probably part of it. Part of it is probably because he played for the guy that he played for too. His former coach, Glenn Cross, who he passed on that list.
Is that over 70 now? 70 wins.
Right. And really, North had to deal with a lot of adversity this year. Starting at the beginning of the year, they had the issues with their former running back Philip Butler off the field. They had the issue with Aaron Miller, one of their teammates who was diagnosed with leukemia just before the first game of the season. And then they took an early loss to Frederick in week 2. And Coach Cunningham really sort of brought the team together at that point, and he gave a lot of credit to the seniors as well.
Not only that, the seniors, but at that point in time of the year, that makes you have to fight a little bit harder to get that spot in the playoffs.
Right.
And that's what they had to do.
And it was kind of every week was a must-win for them.
It was a battle.
From that 1-1 start.
You knew going out on that field that every week was a must-win situation.
And we certainly it looked like South was the shoe-in for the playoffs, sitting at 8-0,
up until then,
and North right behind them at 7-1. We wonder, wow, is North are they going to make the playoffs?
Sure.
And it ended up the other way around with North getting in.
The other thing too, even though they fell apart, so to speak, at the end of the year, kudos to South Hagerstown coming through this year, with their record 8-2, still a great year.
And their coach, Toby Peer, he's sort of been our number 2 each of the last 3 years. His 3 years at South, there's always been that one guy.
But he's doing good things.
He really is. A 20-10 record in 3 years. There are very few coaches in Washington County history who have a winning record, and here he's sitting.
Especially in his first 3 years.
Right. He's done a lot of good things there at South. We kind of chuckled. There were so many North, South, and Boonesboro kids on our all-county first team this year. But this season, more than any other, there were a lot. They were the haves, and the other teams really sort of struggled to find their way this year.
Well, the one player that I would like to mention that I was really impressed with was from Boonesboro, Justin Hearld-Mail. The young man is not the biggest kid in stature, but he's as tough as nails as anybody else. Played both sides of the ball, ran it, defensive back, had great numbers, first team all county, and he's been a good athlete ever since he was a freshman, and I just think he's done great things for Boonesboro. He
absolutely has. Much like Trey Anderson, on the field almost every play of the game, special teams, kickoffs,
another
no matter what.
Another running back we got to look at for next year, Isaiah Keys at North.
Another junior. Somebody made the comment, all you have to do is be named Isaiah. More on the starting 5 coming up soon.